Very warm welcome at Amish Shackle 5858. I am Amish Shackle. Following are the news headlines by American channels. So please watch the news headlines.
Tonight, breaking news as we come on the air, striking their target. The new images coming in, the 10th military strike on a suspected drug boat in the Caribbean. At least 6 people killed. And tonight, President Trump now sending an aircraft carrier strike group to the waters of Central and South America. We'll go live to Martha Raddatz. Tonight, day 24 of the government shutdown. Hundreds of thousands of workers now going without their paychecks. Congress is still getting paid. President Trump cutting off trade talks with Canada over an ad featuring former President Ronald Reagan. And the new inflation report tonight showing inflation here in this country climbing at its fastest rate since January. Beef prices, for one, soaring. Tropical storm Melissa gaining strength in the Atlantic. A hurricane by tomorrow, expected to be a major Category 4 by Sunday. The new models just in tonight, the potential track of this storm. The alarming scene outside a Coast Guard base. Police opening fire during a protest, a U-Haul truck backing up into the gate. It comes after jarring images showing a minister hit in the face by a flashbang. A National Guard plane coming down across a highway, hitting power lines and crashing. A Delta jet forced to abort takeoff, flames shooting from the right engine. The system-wide outage canceling hundreds of flights, travelers stranded for hours. What Alaska Airlines is now saying tonight. New York Attorney General Letitia James pleading not guilty tonight, accusing the Justice Department of being used as a Mayor Andrew Cuomo laughed at radio host said Zohran Mamdani would cheer if there was another 9/11. Tonight, Mamdani, before the cameras, responding his personal and at times emotional message for voters here. Tonight, medical recall.
Pelosi called for something that we've never heard for. Our state and local authorities may arrest federal agents if they break California law. And if they're convicted, the president cannot pardon them. San Francisco police arresting ICE agents for enforcing the law? I'd like to see San Fran PD slap cuffs on Homan's boys. I'd like to see that. This is Civil War type stuff. Democrats are working harder to arrest ICE than illegals. Why didn't they make a master tracker for the migrant kids Biden lost? U.S. Attorney General Pam Bondi is here. All right, so Lori Lightfoot, JB Backribs Pritzker, they're doxing, they're telling people the whereabouts of ICE agents. Is that legal?
It's the first time Lori Lightfoot, it's not violent. Harm them. Send them for emails or everything. Pop it because to arrest our federal agents, you cannot do that. Heeding an investigation, and we will charge them if they think they have not met me. We will charge them if they are violating the law. We will protect our federal agents. They're out there working nonstop. These people are out there working. You've got Pelosi out there saying to obstruct their investigation. You can't do it. And we're going to investigate her now as well as that DA. And Schultzker's on the list too, Jesse.
I'm not a lawyer, but these are warning letters. You send these out to say, preserve documents. You face action if continues.
They got us today. investigation. They cannot impede federal officers doing their jobs. They're out there risking their lives every single day and night to keep the people of California safe. Yet these lawmakers are truly insane by what they're doing. And Donald Trump is not going to put up with it. We are going to protect our men and women in blue. We're going to protect all of our law enforcement agents. And these politicians aren't going to get away with it anymore.
All right. And something that's really near and dear to our heart here. A couple months ago. Are we going to get
Tonight, the major military escalation, the largest aircraft carrier in the U.S. Navy ordered to move towards South America as President Trump ramps up the pressure on Venezuela. A massive display of firepower, including thousands of sailors, dozens of aircrafts, several destroyers, and a submarine, all heading to the Caribbean, where overnight the U.S. military struck another boat, allegedly carrying drugs and cartel members. Is this all to deter drug trafficking? The deadly crane collapse in Massachusetts. 2 killed. Now the investigation into what went wrong here. The dangerous new forecast, the storm, set to make a direct hit on Jamaica as a powerful Category 4 hurricane and sit there for days. Officers opening fire at a Coast Guard base housing immigration officers as a U-Haul speeds towards them, witnesses diving for cover. The stock market hits a major milestone as President Trump calls off trade talks with Canada because of a TV ad about tariffs. Canada's reaction tonight. Paychecks issued today for $0. More than 1 million federal workers missing their first full paychecks because of the government shutdown. Terrifying surveillance video just released showing a fatal bus explosion that sent workers running. The potentially life-saving update tonight, the cancer patient we told you about last night with only months to live. After our report, the incredible news he just received about the drug he so desperately needs. And after tragedy, triumph. The young girl who has already overcome so much. Her incredible story of survival and homecoming, the celebration. Nightly News.
The president flexes America's military and financial muscle in the drug war, sending the world's largest aircraft carrier to waters off Venezuela and in Colombia's president with economic sanctions.
Ribeye, tenderloin strip.
Also tonight, what's behind the soaring cost of beef?
On average, American consumers pay about 10 to 20% more for beef.
A state where cattle is king crowns a champion squirrel.
And Steve Hartman.
It was amazing. He couldn't stop smiling. It was like a wish come true.
School kids give their principal the surprise of her life.
They're awesome.
From the CBS News headquarters in New York, this is the CBS Evening News.
Good evening, I'm Maurice Dubois.
I'm John Dickerson.
President Trump is stepping up his war against illegal drugs on 2 fronts, military and economic.
On the military, Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth today ordered an aircraft carrier, the biggest one in the world, to waters off Venezuela, whose dictator is under indictment in the United States on drug trafficking charges.
And the U.S. Treasury imposed economic sanctions on the president of Colombia, who Mr. Trump calls an illegal drug leader.
Charlie Daggett in Washington has more about the U.S. military buildup off of South America. Charlie?
Yeah, this is a major escalation which will dramatically surge the amount of ships, aircraft, and troops to the region, and there is no greater projection of U.S. military power than a carrier strike group.
The deployment of the Ford aircraft carrier and its escorting warships to the Caribbean is the strongest signal yet the U.S. is preparing to widen its airstrike campaign in the region. With 10 strikes on suspected
Friday talks terminated. The U.S. president cancels negotiations with Canada, angry over an Ontario government TV ad that condemns tariffs through the words of a former president.
American jobs and growth are at stake.
The response from the Prime Minister and Ontario's Premier. Plus, the looming U.S. Supreme Court case that threatens to upend Trump's tariffs, what it could mean for Canada. And the big excitement in Toronto and across Canada for Game 1 of the World Series.
Global National with Donna Friesen. Reporting tonight, Jeff Semple.
Good evening and thank you for joining us. It's Game 1 of the World Series, but we begin tonight with a political curveball from the U.S. President. Donald Trump is once again terminating trade talks with Canada. This time, he's blaming an anti-tariff TV ad that was produced by the Ontario government. It's been airing this week in the U.S. and features part of a speech from former Republican President Ronald Reagan. In a late-night social media post, Trump wrote, "Tariffs are very important to the national security and economy of the USA. Based on their egregious behavior, all trade negotiations with Canada are hereby terminated." Prime Minister Mark Carney says Canada is prepared to resume talks when the Americans are ready. And this afternoon, Ontario Premier Doug Ford announced plans to pull that ad, but not before it airs during the World Series in front of a massive TV audience.
Good evening, I'm Jeff Bennett. I'm the Navaz away. On the NewsHour tonight, the U.S. escalates regional tensions with another deadly strike on an alleged drug boat off the coast of Venezuela. Experts warn of the dangers of political interference in economic data after the president fired the head of the Bureau of Labor Statistics. And Congress remains divided as the government shutdown continues, leaving many critical workers unpaid and needing to resort to food banks to survive.
There's just tremendous anxiety across our community at this stage.
Major funding for the PBS NewsHour has been provided.
Welcome to Democracy Now!, democracynow.org, the War and Peace Report. I'm Amy Goodman. The United Nations is urging Israel to open the Rafah border crossing to allow urgently needed aid into the Gaza Strip. This comes as 41 aid groups, including Oxfam and the Norwegian Refugee Council, have published an open letter accusing Israel of arbitrarily rejecting aid deliveries into Gaza. The letter says, quote, "Aid denied by Israeli authorities includes tents and tarpaulins, blankets, mattresses, food and nutrition supplies, hygiene kits, sanitation materials, assistive devices, and children's clothing, all of which should be unrestricted during the ceasefire," they wrote. The World Food Program warned it was falling short of its target of sending 2,000 tons of food into Gaza. Meanwhile, the WHO described Gaza's starvation crisis as still catastrophic.
There is increase in amount after the ceasefire, but what is entering Gaza is significant.
Thank you for watching Amish Shakil 5858. I am Amish Shakil. I hope you will visit again.